Hello, everyone. So my name's Joe Glines, and I am co-hosting this event with Jean Lalonde, and Jean is the developer of the actual tool that we're going to demonstrate. He's up in Canada, and I'm in Dallas. And so let me give you a little bit of background on myself. So I've been, for the past like 2 years, I've been running automation webinars, teaching people how to be more efficient and effective in using a computer, mostly with this tool, this programming tool called AutoHotkey. And AutoHotkey happens to be the language that this tool that we're going to review here is written in, and it's written in it, and you can use it, for helping with a lot of things, which Jean I'll get into. But about 6 months ago, I was having a side conversation with Jean. Actually, he has a different library that I was asking for some help on. And so he was helping me walk through, and he said, "Hey, are you using my other tool, QAP?" And I'm like, what other tool? And so he gave me a quick review of it, and I was just blown away with its functionality. So I, for years, have been in AutoHotkey. I would build some of the functionality that John has in his tool, not all of it, but just some of it. And even then, even though it was painful for me to build it, because it would take me like a half hour to update something, because I'm literally building GUIs and doing this stuff. His tool does it like drag and drop and clicking, and it's so easy. And so once I saw the tool, I was just in love, and like really I switched over to now when I create all my shortcuts and hotkeys and links to folders and stuff, I use his tool instead of manually creating them each time. And so I got really excited about it. And so I kind of bugged Jean about, hey, can we have a webinar to teach people, to show them, to get more people to adopt? Because it's such a great, easy tool to use. And honestly, I can't think of anybody who, if you're using a Windows computer, this wouldn't be beneficial for you to be using. I was actually just kidding around a little with Jean, but I'm like, I hope Microsoft someday either pays him out to buy it, or just steals it, not to be mean to Jean, but like it's such great functionality and saves so much time that like hopefully at some point people start adopting it. And the other thing I'd say is kudos to you guys is for taking some time to sharpen the saw, right? To improve your skills and to be more efficient and everything. Oh, and I got people here, sorry, in the waiting room. I got to admit them. Admit. I'm not used to doing this. There we go. So now we're added. And cool. So having said all that, I'm sorry for the people I just added that you missed the little intro there, but we're gonna, let's see, we're at 6 after. Yeah, let's get started. So Jean, are you sharing your?
No, not yet, but I just want to
sure.
Thank you first, Joe, for hosting this webinar, inviting me. Joe is doing monthly webinars on AutoHotkey, and he has quite a good audience of people interested in developing using this tool, and that's where we met. And now this webinar is dedicated to a tool built with AutoHotkey, but users don't have to know about this language used. All you have to know is how to download, install, and use it, and that's what I'll show in this webinar. I know some of the users attending are already using the tool, but this webinar is developed is prepared for new users, so you'll have some kind of introduction to the tool. Maybe you'll discover some things in the demo that we'll do in the second part of the webinar. And at the end, we will have maybe half an hour for question and answers if you wish to drop in with questions. So I'll switch now to the presentation. Here. Okay, so this webinar is for, of course, for users of Windows, because it's a tool that is running on Windows 7, 8, or 9. I have an older application called Folders Popup that is running on Windows XP. Some users are still with Windows XP, but there's no much of them now. This webinar is for, I would say, for geeks will find very good things for them, but non-techie users will have all what is required to use this tool easily. So you don't have to be a geek to use this tool. This webinar is there also for those who value put importance in well managing their files, their data, their digital assets, so documents, folders, application links. If you're here, it's because you think it's good to take some time to classify and organize your content to use it efficiently. And having a good tool to support this is what you will find today. And also, if you are working in a company, in a work group, in a department, you'll see that this tool can help groups of users to share their content, share their links to documents, their links to websites, or their content, their pieces of text. So it's also a tool that can be used to collaborate in a group. Now, as Joe said earlier, if you want to just make sure you put all your attention in this webinar, so you can disconnect your alerts from your PC, from your iPhone or things like that. I'm not sure for the last image if you should disconnect at this point, but it's just to pass the message here. So what you'll discover in this webinar is how you can save thousands of clicks, unproductive clicks that we repeat every day when we browse folders, when we browse in open or save dialog box. Always dialog box are always open at the wrong location, and you have to go up and down in your directory structure. So how to save these clicks, how to improve your individual efficiency or also team efficiency by well managing your computer content. And you'll discover this small tool, free tool, that is providing all these benefits. This tool is completely free. I accept donations. I have consulting services for companies that want help using or implementing or training for this tool. But the tool is free for both for individual or for companies. It's developed for Windows users, and it's a global application, meaning that it works on any international versions of Windows 7, 8, or 10. Sometime application will be designed by, for example, people in the United States will develop things not having necessarily taking the time to check if it works with all versions. And I did this, and it even worked with keyboards from Russian users, for example. So I put a lot of effort in making sure it works for everywhere in the world, and it's available in 10 languages that you see on screen. And thanks again to these translators like Rick, which is online actually doing the Dutch translation. So it's about saving clicks. Of course, saving clicks means that you will save time. And if you value your time, saving time is saving money also. And we did a quick survey among current Quick Access Pop-up users, asking them what were the biggest time savers for them. And what is the first item is browsing folders, both in Windows Explorer or in dialog boxes, save or open dialog box. When launching application, and you know, browsing folders, it was the first feature in this tool when it was developed initially, called Folders Pop-up. It was to browse folders, but then user finding this application very efficient asked me if they could also use it to launch application or to launch documents. And then with this exchange with users since 2014, the application grew up always with the target to be more efficient accessing your content on your computer, having everything in the same menu at the same place, use the same way to access almost anything on your computer. So it's about folders, application, documents, live folders. We'll see what it is later. It also uses some of the content that is maintained by Windows, which is having a history of your recent folders or your recent documents. So it's giving access to these content easily. There's a lot of Windows special folders. There's about 50 special folders like the recycle bin, desktop, downloads that you can access using this tool. These are handy features which will make it easy to add a folder or a link very efficiently to your menu. Favorite links, access to websites or online application. Text snippets, something that Joe will show us later. We'll do a small demo of that. So how you can have pieces of text that you use repeatedly pasted from Quick Access Pop-up in your email or in your documents. Changing folders in command line or PowerShell, very appreciated by system administrators, where they have not only to click to change folder in these tools, but to type cd /, etc. So all this can be saved with a click in the menu. Hot strings, we'll see what it is later. Keyboard shortcut, groups of favorite, and shared menu. So I'll tell you more about these features later in the webinar. So saving clicks. In the same survey we did, and I must tell you that it is a small survey, non-scientific, but just to give you an idea from the feedback of current users of this application, we asked them how many times they access content using their menu each hour. So for you, it could be, if you don't use the app, how many times do you open the open or save as dialog box? How many times you browse your folders in Explorer? How many times you enter a link in your browser? So the answer was about 10 accesses per hour in average. The answers were ranging from 2 to 30. Of course, it depends on what type of work you do. If you read a book on your computer, you don't have to change document very often. But if you manage files and manage assets data, you can use it up to 30 times an hour for the users using this application. So that's the first question we asked. Then we asked them, how many times do you think you save each time you access content using this tool? And then the answers range again from 2 seconds to 20 seconds. And again, it depends on what you do. 20 seconds is maybe when you save time, instead of having to retype something or find a piece of text that you used earlier, copy and paste it. Having it already available will make you save lots of seconds. But the median value was 9 seconds. And the third question was, how many hours per week do you work on your computer, at work or at home? And the median answer was 41 hours. So if we take these three values and we multiply that, we see that this tool can make you save more than 1 hour a week of work, of efficiency improvement. And this hour a week, if you put it on a year, it means more than $1,500 a year that you can save. Of course, you cannot go to the bank and cash out this money. If it would be possible, we would be all rich. But it's just to give you an idea of what proportion of your time you can save just by being more efficient, and how much time it can free from your calendar to do something else each week. Of course, you have to put some time in the in building your menu and maintaining it to be current and the best content for your current work. But maintaining it is a question of maybe 15 minutes the first time, and then 1 minute here, 1 minute there, 30 seconds here. And with the features like add this folder, adding a folder can be done in 5 seconds. So that's the benefits you can get from this. So of course it depends on what you do, but it depends on how frequently you repeatedly change folders in save as or save documents on your local or network folder. It depends how many times you access system folders from Windows or websites, or repeat the same piece of text. And also how frequently you would share content or exchange content with colleagues, content being possibly linked to folders or linked to websites, or pieces of text that you can also share with this tool. So all this is being made a breeze with Quick Access Popup. So the idea, as Joe often say in his webinars, is to work smarter, not harder. So having all these content available in your menu, in one menu at the same place, used the same way, and available anywhere. You can click anywhere and almost anywhere, and your menu will appear, offering you your content in a very standard way all across your desktop. And grouping together your program documents, folders, web links, etc., is the way to get the efficiency for individuals and for team or corporate users. There's, in addition to the individual efficiency of each member of the group, there's the synergy that can be developed among the group by sharing their content. And what you see on the right side of this slide is testimony from a user in a large company, a global company. They're based in Germany, but they have planned to deploy this application in different places. And what they saw using it in their company is how it can improve the knowledge base of each user in or each member of their team, how it can help. You know, some people are more organized. I guess you are more organized than the average if you attend this webinar. Some others are at the other end of the range and are very poorly organized. But if they are member of a group that manage efficiently their content, their links, even less organized team members will be able to increase their efficiency without having to make extra effort. And of course, new team members that will join a team or a company or a department will be able to jump in more quickly by having all their links to their corporate content, to their client links, to, you know, to the, depending on what the team is doing, but they can have something easily available, and again, always at the same place in the same way. So we'll start now showing you this tool. On this last slide, before going to the demo, I will just explain that you have first an interface, a user interface that allow you to build your menu and maintain your menu. So it's what you see on the left side. It's very easy to use. There you have buttons to add, to edit, to remove, to move your content around. You can create submenu where you will have subfolders, if you wish, inside this tool to manage your content. And on the right side, you see the menu that will appear anywhere on your desktop when you need to access something. And you see that this menu on the right is reflecting the content of the user interface on the left side with two submenus being open, one to go to my project submenu, and then to the final report subsection, and there you have two files available in this submenu. What is missing now is to see how we can start from the GUI and to user interface and get the menu. And the missing tool now is at the end of this cord is your mouse and the middle mouse button, which is the default trigger to open the menu. You know, this button, is often used to scroll inside documents, inside web page, but some users ignore it, but you can also click this button, and by clicking the button, it will open the menu when Quick Access Pop-up is running. Of course, some users can also already use this button for something else, so they can change the trigger if they wish, or they can exclude this button in some application where it's already used for something else. But for most users, the middle mouse button is never used, and now it finds a good usage for this button. And for those that prefer to use the keyboard, you can also press by default Windows W that will open the menu. Again, this shortcut can be changed easily in the application's options. Okay, any question, Joe? Or of course, if you have a question, you can ask it on the chat and Joe can read your question and can jump in if it's appropriate to do it as I'm doing it, or can keep them for later after the demo. Are we okay, Joe? Joe? I don't hear you. So I'll continue. Okay, I'll switch now to the demonstration here. Okay, closing it. So when you download Quick Access Pop-up, you have a file I'll tell you a little more about the installation later, but you have a file, and I'll go here, a file that is called quick access popup -setup.exe. So it's an executable file that you start, you click next, 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 and after 30 seconds, the application is installed on your computer. And then when it is first run, the application is creating a default menu just to give you something to work with. So in my case, I already installed the application. When the application is installed, you have an icon that is added to your notification zone here that you can click to open the default menu. You can also click in anywhere using the middle mouse button, so you don't have to click this icon here. So let's say that I'm closing it. I click the middle mouse button, and now I want to open the Windows folder, and a new Explorer window is opened with this folder. I want to change now to another folder. I click again, and if I'm clicking inside an Explorer window, when I choose a folder, it will change the folder inside this window. So I am now in the program files folder. So you have different folders here. You have an application. In this example, in the default menu, I put the Notepad application because everybody have it. So if I click it, it opens the Notepad. There's a link to the Quick Access Popup website and some sub-menus that I'll tell you more about, like this one with all Windows special folders or system folders, if you wish, on Windows. And there's this settings menu here that is opening the user interface that we viewed earlier. I'm just a little bit concerned, Joe, I can't hear you. So not sure if everything is working well on your side. But I guess it's okay. No. Okay, Joe is offline. Okay. So Joe maybe has an issue with his connection. He had some trouble with electricity work at his house. So Ahmed is the host now. Okay. So I'll continue. You can hear me. So thank you for your feedback, and I'll continue, and Joe will probably rejoin shortly. So here's the user interface where you manage your menu. So we have these items here. When we double click an item, it opens a dialog box where you can control the different options for this item. There are submenus. If I'm clicking inside a submenu here, it will open a submenu with different contents. There's a drop-down list here of the different menus or submenus in my menu. And let's see, if I open my menu here, you see the content is reflecting what's in the user interface in the settings window. I'll remove a few items that I don't need. Just give me a second. I'll remove this item. I click remove, user profile. We won't use it. So if I'm saving the menu now, and I should have keep it there. So you see that the items were removed in my menu. So all you do you save and close, or you save and reload, which is keeping the settings window open, will be reflected immediately in your menu. There's a lot of options. I can show you quickly the options dialog box with different tabs. Here in the hotkeys tab, you can change what are the triggers that will open the menu, the mouse or keyboard triggers. You can, in the general here, I will click the change folder option. I will enable change folder, something you have to do the first time you use it. So I'll show you later how we can use this tool to change folders inside dialog box. Various file managers are supported. You have a list here. You know, there's a lot of stuff, but by default, I would say just having to enable the change folder option is all what you need to do to really use the application. Okay, so I'll add a folder. Let's say that I'll go to this folder here, and I'll go inside a subfolder, for example, the picture folders here. And I want to add this folder to my menu. So all I have to do if I'm already in the folder is to click to open my menu and to choose add this folder or link, or press a hotkey if I prefer. And it will automatically open the user interface with the add favorite dialog box with already the path to this folder entered in the location field here, and the name is already filled with the last part of the path. So of course you could change it, and I'll call it music pictures because we'll see that it's mostly about music. And I save it. By default, what I add is saved at the end of the menu. There's an option if you prefer it to be saved elsewhere, and you could also in the menu tab here say that I want it in the main menu, but at the beginning of the menu. So inserted before the C drive item. So it's now at the top. And to make it nicer, I'll insert a small separator in my menu. And now I save it. And when I open new menu, you see the new folder, the separator, you see the little line between the two first items. So that's that easy to add a folder to your menu. Now we'll see how we can use it using an application, using an Office application. So I'll start Word. It's here, okay. So when you open Word, usually you have recent files already there. So if you're lucky, what you want to open, you just use it recently so you can reuse it there. But more often than you always end up at the end to browse other content, and you end up in this standard open dialog box that all applications have. So here I want to use a project charter file that I have somewhere on my system. So I know that it is in this PC on my B drive. It is, I'm doing it the hard way now. I'll show you how more efficient it can be. So it is in the QAP demo under client, under ABC client. It's a project section. It's a project ABC. And now I have here my project charter file. So I'll open this one. So I have my file here. Now, in addition to working on this file, I also need to check something in the contract of the client. So I can open this, it's a Word document in this case, in this demo. So I'll go to the open dialog box again. And I know that the contract is not in the same folder than the project. So I have to go in another branch of my content in the department section, because it is the sales department which saved the contracts. So I have to go there. Hi, Joe, is it you that I'm hearing?
Can you hear me now? Good.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, my internet just completely shut down, so I had to grab my laptop and sponge off my neighbors.
Okay, so welcome back.
Hey, and just while I'm talking, this is one of the best things to me, because like when I worked at the corporate world, I'd have these crazy networks drives that I had to open and share to, and which is exactly what John is demonstrating. It's like how painful it is to go each time and navigate to it. So I love this functionality.
You come back just in time for the best.
That's right.
So I'm looking for the contract for my client ABC. So where is it? So it is the sales department in one of our branch. Which brand? I know it's the North branch. Now I know it's a client, and the client is ABC, and now is the contract. And I can open this contract. So you see how much click I've done. I created maybe a little extreme example, but it's not that extreme. It can be often seen. And users will, I find some users very patient, because they will repeat every day, many times a day, many times an hour. And there's a way to make it so more efficient. So what we can do instead of browsing that, when I'm in the file and I'll return to my open dialog box, when I'm in a folder that I know I will reuse frequently, I can click add this folder as we've done earlier. and automatically the folder will be remembered with the name of the folder. I can change the name to make it more precise. So sales contract for client ABC. I'm saving it. And I'll do the same with the other folder. So let's say that I'll go here just to browse differently. I'll go in my clients folder, ABC project, project ABC. And I also need, okay, I didn't save my setting, so I cannot use the menu here. So I'll save my setting, my changes. I'll show you. So I'm using again, add this folder or link. It's now adding project ABC folder with the path already filled. And I'm adding it. And what you have to do after you add something is to save it in your dialog box. I've done it differently just a second ago, but normally you do it here. And what I'll do, I'll just move these two items at the top to make it. So I have these arrows here that can allow me to move up and down my content. There we go. I'll remove the, no, I won't remove it. We'll use it later. So I have these two items. I do save and reload just to keep this window open. And now if I check my menu, I have my two folders here. So back in Word, if I'm opening a file here, I can jump from my, my project ABC folder to the sales ABC contracts. It's just one click. So of course you have to set up the folders you use frequently, but using this add this folder function here is really the way to do it easily and quickly. So we added folders, and it's available not only in Word in that case, not only in Windows Explorer. I'll just close these windows for now. It's also available in how many windows we can have in. Okay, close it. So we can also use it with Notepad. So with any application. So if I do open, file open, I'm in ABC, I can go to the, no, I was already there. I can go to the project folder, which has no text file. So I'll return to the sales folder, and I can now open this file. And if I need to save it in a different place, what we've seen to open folders is works the same when we use a save as a dialog box. So I can say I will save it in my music pictures, which makes no sense, but it's just a demo. So my file is not now saved in this pictures folder. So that's about folders. Now we can also add to the menu applications or documents or websites. So I'll show you quickly how we can add these different type of items. The first one is application. What is, to make it easier to add an application, you know, if you add an application, you have to enter the path, the C/program file, something, 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 to the exact file that is launching the application. It's not always easy to find this file. So what I recommend first is to launch the application that you want to add to your menu. So we'll take the example of Word again. And it just have to be launched and run. And from there, I'll go now in my settings. And I'll select the Add button. And we've bypassed this process earlier because we were always using the add this folder, or which could also be used to add links. So for Quick Access Popup already knew it was a folder that we wanted to add. But if we are using the settings add button here, we have the choice of all these type of favorite. We have folders that we've seen, but we can also add special folders, which is folders like recycle bin, networks, cookies, all system folders maintained by Windows. Documents, we'll see it in a minute. And application, so we want to add Word, so it's an application. So I click continue. And here I could browse and search for the file that is launching Word. But instead, since it is already running, I have a drop-down list here of all the applications already running on this PC. So there's PowerPoint, but there's Word here that is running. So if I select Word here, it will automatically add the path to the correct file that will launch the application. And I can, if I wish, rename it Office Word. And that's it. So I click Add. It will be at the top of my menu because I was already at this location in my settings. I save and reload. And let's say that Word is closed. I want to start it. I choose it. And there's the Word icon by default that is added there. And it will start. It will launch the application. For documents now, if I want to add the contract folder, so what I can do is add, not the contract folder, the contract file or the addendum. I'll take the addendum for this example. So I want to add a document. I can double click here. I don't have to go to click continue. So I double click here and now I browse. So I'm going in my menu and I'm going to my contract folder and I want to add the ABC addendum file to my menu because I have to refer it actually often these days. So I'm adding it. And just before saving, I'll show you something else. There's a default icon that will be selected because it's a Word document. But if you wish, you could go inside the list of icons that Word is proposing and say that this file that I'm using now, maybe this icon would be better. So you can make each item in your menu distinctive by using a different icon. You can even select icons from a bank of icons that I'm using myself for Quick Access Pop-up. And if I put this art folder here, oh, it's a document. So let's choose something else. So it's a calendar. Let's say it's a kind of calendar file, okay, that I want to refer in this file. So I'm adding it, save it. And now, in addition to my link to Word, I have a link to a Word document. So clicking this will immediately open the file I was looking for. So this is for adding documents. Adding a link is as easy as adding a folder. So I will launch my browser. The one I have here is Edge, but what I'll show you will work as well with Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox. So most standard browsers will work. So the page I'm choosing is, I don't know why, it's a page I just wanted to take a look at, but the freeware donation page, I want to add this page to my menu. So what I do here is the same thing. I make sure I'm inside the page I want to add and I open the menu. I select add this folder or link. So now it's a link that will be added. And the add dialog box will be displayed. You notice that there's been a delay of 1 or 2 seconds here before the dialog box was shown. Is because Quick Access Pop-up is going on the internet and is fetching the title of this page and is proposing the title of the page as a default short name here. Of course, web page titles are not always very short, so I will just remove the part I don't need here, and I'll add it to my menu. And now it's at the end. I forgot to position my selection at the beginning. So save. And if I close this window and I'm relaunching it using this menu here, I have the Internet Explorer or Edge icon by default here. And I'm clicking it and it will automatically open this, this web page in my default browser. If you use different browsers, you can tell Quick Access Pop-up which browser to use to open a page if you have to do some quality control or some page work better with a browser or with another. So you can also, in the options, select in which browser the page will be opened. And finally, in the list of, I would say, more basic features, we'll see how to add a special folder. And then in the second part, we'll see how to add more advanced, a little more advanced feature, but adding a system folder. So you already have inside here this My Special Folder submenu, a submenu that was already created for you with the most frequently used system folders from Windows. So the desktop, My Documents, your pictures, your downloads, this PC, which is showing, I'll show it here, this PC, which is listing the list of drives and network locations on your PC. So all this is already available, but there's a lot more special folders available, and I'll add one here at the top. So to do it, I go to Add, and I'm adding a special folder. And here you have a list of 50 special folders. I group them in different sections of a tree view just to make it easier to locate the type of favorite you want. So they are the basic one. Most of them are already in the My Special Folder menu. And there are other for more power users. So you see cache, cookies, history, portable devices. Others are more intended for sysadmins or administrative tools, common application or common desktop, so things that system administrator will use to set up a server instead of a single user setup. Content with your downloads, your video, your music, things like that. And finally, hardware with different content, most of them coming from the control panel. So I'll add, for example, the printers folder. So it's a list of folders that will be now available inside my menu. By clicking here now, it's under the My Special Folder, printers, and it will open the list of printers on my system. So the idea here is to have everything you use frequently in the same menu, accessed the same way anywhere. You can click anywhere on your desktop, on your taskbar, inside an application. So regardless where you click, unless you filtered or you excluded some windows, which you can do, but this menu is now available everywhere. Do we have questions, Joe, or I continue with the second part of the demo, which is a little more advanced features? Oh, I hope Joe didn't lose his connection again. So I'll continue. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat. I cannot look at the question at the same time I'm doing the demo, but at the end of the demo, we'll review the question in the chat and answer your questions then. Okay, next feature is you have folders, and I'll take the example of my pictures folder here. I have subfolders where my pictures are split in different subfolders. If I want to access these subfolders directly from my menu, I would add add each of them to my menu. But if I know that I often have to go under these subfolders, I can add the picture folder and make it what is called a live folder. So in the menu, instead of having just the music picture folder that I have here, it will become a live folder with a submenu that will contain everything that is under this folder here. So let's go to my settings. Let's remove a few things that we don't need just to make the menu shorter. Let's use it. And now I'll use this instead of adding a new item, I already have this folder item here. And in the dialog box, there's a tab called Live Folders, Live Folder Options. And if I enable this, it will give me the possibility to add to my menu all the items at the first level of my menu, sorted by file name ascending. So take a look at this menu now. So under music, I now have the 4 subfolders. And if a subfolder is added by someone, so if some content can be very dynamic and content being added by other users in your network or in your work group, the content will be refreshed every time you refresh your menu. And there are different ways to do that. It can also be done periodically and automatically, but it will reflect the current content of this folder. And if you need to go to the folder itself, there is this top item here that takes you to your pictures menu. So if I want to go under music, it's changing to the submenu. If I want to go under music, but lower, you know, I have subfolders here. I can change the setting of this live folder to say, I want to go deeper. Let's say I'll go to 4 sub level of subfolders. And now let's say I close it and I'm showing it you here.
Hey, Jean.
Joe,
I'm back.
you're back.
Yeah, we did have one question, but actually Rick answered it about getting the size of the QAP, keeping it in check if it's too big. Sorry, I was watching, but I couldn't unmute because I had logged into my laptop, so I had to run back downstairs and get out of that. So I'm really getting my exercise today during the webinar. Which is,
well, fortunately, the webinar is recorded, so you will be able to see it.
Yeah, I didn't miss anything. But actually, what I was going to say also was I love this. Like, so my background working in, you know, like I worked in research for years, but I would have projects, and in those projects, of course, I'd have multiple different files that I'm constantly updating. And the fact that here I can have a shortcut that dynamically is always getting updated of what's in there, and yet I don't have to go navigate to the folder, open the folder, then select. Right, this will automatically get updated of what's in there. It's awesome. And to John's point, if other people are doing the same thing, it's all getting put in there, so it's great.
It's good for yourself, but if you work with other people in the same content, it's very
agreed,
very helpful. So you see now I have 2 sub-level of menus. I asked for 4, but there are only 2 actually in my directory structure. So I can go directly to any of these items now. And if I also want to have links to documents inside these folders, I can again change it and say in the live folder options that I want to include documents. And I could say that I want to include only docx or xlx document. You know, you can say which kind of file you want to be included, or you could exclude some kind of files also. So you have the 2 options, but for now I will just include every document, and I'm refreshing my menu. And now I have under music, I have this file here, the notes file, and under music, I now have the subfolders, but also the files inside. So if I want to open this one here, so it's already open just by one usage of the menu, not having to browse in different folders or subfolders. So that's a short example, but it can be very helpful. There is one limit to the usage of live folders. Some users get very excited about that and add a lot of folder, and they want to put all their Explorer, all their hard disk content inside live folder. Unfortunately, this menu here is built by Windows. Okay, Quick Access Popup is giving commands to Windows to build the menu, and Windows menu can hold only a certain number of items, and if it get too big, it can become very slow. It can even hang the menu completely. So that's why I'm putting a limit of 500 items in your live folders in your menu. This limit can be increased if it's going very well for you at 500 and you think it would work well at 1000, you could increase it, but it cannot be 10,000 items in your menu because first it would be very long to load, and second it would just completely hang this tool. So we have to be careful with that. And using documents can be interesting in some case when there's not that many documents, but I like to compare this feature more as building access to the main branches of a structure, but leaving the leaves at the end of these branches being used by going to the Explorer and then finalize your browsing in this tool, which can hold as many files as you have, or as many as subfolders as you have on your system. So this is about live folder. Next item I want to show you is the shared menu. So first I'll show you that we can create a menu. I haven't shown that to you before, so it will be very easy to show you. So here we have submenu. What you can do in a submenu is to give it a name. My submenu. You can give it, there's a default icon, which is a submenu icon, but I can say, oh, these are, I use this one, anyone. And so this video icon, and I have a submenu here. And then when I double click in the submenu, it opens a list of the content of this submenu. Of course, it's a new one, so if it is empty. And I'll just take a few items here and move them to the submenu. So I clicked move on the right side, and now I have the list of submenus available in my menu. I move them to my submenu. I can select if I want to move it at the beginning or the end, but now it's empty, so it makes no difference. So, and the two items I had in the main menu are now in my submenu. And if I save this, I say my submenu with the icon I selected and the two folders in it. So that works well for my own needs on this computer using this instance of Quick Access Popup. But often what you do, there are three scenarios. One where yourself, you have different computers you work on. You work on a computer at home, you work on a computer at work, you may have a laptop in addition to that. And some of the content you use, you use it regardless of the device you use. So for example, for links, for text snippets, for some system folders that are available on all these computers. So what you can do is to make to create a shared menu that you will share among the different system you use by having a common drive, which can be a network drive, or more frequently, if you have different computers in different locations, you will have a Dropbox folder or G drive or any system that give access to a shared directory. And you will put your shared menu in this folder, and it will become available in any instance of Quick Access Popup that you use on any device. So that's the first scenario for yourself. You can reuse your content in different system. The second, and I'll just add here a shared menu. So here in the shared menu options, you can, what I described was a personal shared menu. You can also create a collaborative shared menu. So where you have different users that will share this menu, and selecting this collaborative option will make sure that there will be protection against concurrent or yes, concurrent, is it this in English? Usage of the menu or modification. It will protect to have changes made to the menu at the same time by two different users. So the first one will be able to modify the menu, but the second one will receive a message that the menu is being locked actually by this user, and this second user will have to wait until the first one saves its changes before being able to add or to modify the content of the menu. So this is collaborative, where every member of a group can modify, add, edit, delete content in the menu. The third option is centralized. In this case, only the user in the list of users having right access here will be able to modify the content. So a kind of scenario when it is used is an HR department giving access to forms or to policies or things like that, that want every user in the company to be able to access it. So they can create a centralized folder menu. It will be managed by them only, but being available for all the users that will add it to their menu. So these are the different type of shared menu. In my case, I will add an existing shared menu that Joe and me are sharing. So I will browse to this menu here. I'll go up that way. I don't have a Quick Access Popup link to it. So it's Joe Glines and Jean Lalonde shared menu demo. And that's the file that holds the content that we share.
But just to clarify, they don't have to do what you're doing right there once they set it up, as long as they point to the same folder, right?
Excuse me?
When people go to establish this, they just need to point to the same shared folder. Is that how it works?
Yeah, they have to share the same Dropbox folder. They can have it under different path. One can be on the C drive, and for the other one, it can be on this D drive. But when they load the shared menu, it's available for all users that way. So what I've done here is a menu that is already created. So Joe, let's say, for example, you created this share menu, and now I want to have access to this shared menu on this PC. So I'm adding the shared menu to my menu here, and I'm saving it. And now under Joe and Jean, we have this content here in this demo shared menu. So Joe, I'll ask you while I'm showing something else, if you could on your system, I hope you have it on your laptop available.
I've switched back to my main.
Okay, you're back to your main PC.
Yeah.
So if you could add something there, and we'll return there to see the change.
I just added something.
In the meantime, I'll show you something else. We've seen menu that can group item inside a menu here, a submenu. We've seen shared submenu, but there's a third type or a third way to group items is a favorite type that is called group. And what it does, it allows to put different content in the same group. And when you select the group, all these items will be launched in one click, okay? So I'll create this group here. There's a lot of options. I won't go into it. We don't have time to see everything. I think we should end the demo in a few minutes to give you time for questions. And I'll go to okay, first I had to load something just for the demo. Give me 1 second. I will just retrieve something here. I should have done that before. Okay, there we go. No, it's already there. Okay, reload. So now in this submenu, no, where is it? Example for demo, that's what I just added. So here in this list of favorites, there are these 4 favorites here that I'm always using together, because when I have to do status report, for example, on a project, I need access to the Word file where I'm putting my report. I need access on project data that is on Trello, which is an online application with data about my project. I need access to a finance document that is somewhere on the network, in a network folder. And I need access to my project folder where I have my own things. So I would need to open these four things each time I do a status report. So instead of opening them one by one, I will copy them to my group. So the group I just created here. 4 favorites have been copied. I will return to the group to see these items here. And now when I save it, this becomes an item in my menu with a little 4 here between quotes, telling me that there are 4 items in this group. But I don't see these items here. I don't need to see them, because just by clicking on this item, and I'll just minimize my window here, just by clicking on this item, it will open the 4 items. So it will open the Word document, it will open the Excel file, it will open the online application Trello, and it will open the folder I'm working in. So here is the web file with my status report, is the Excel file with the finance data. Here's the Trello application, online application, where I have information about my project. And here's the folder with my content used to prepare my status report. So in one click, I can really switch from one work environment to another one by loading 2, 3 more windows or files or application that you need to use to do this work. And for this one, just a little note about this folder here. You notice that it is on the lower left on my screen. It's not because Windows decided it. In this case, it's part of the specs of this folder here, where under the Windows option tab, usually we let Windows decide where it will open the Explorer window. But if I wish, I can, instead of using the default position, I can select option myself and decide if I want it to be maximized, minimized, or normal. And if it is normal, I can choose where and with what size this folder will be open. So there's a lot of little options there that you will have to discover by using the application. But I think that we've done most of the changes we wanted to do. I'll just check if, Joe, you had time to change your, to add something to our shared menu. So here, so we have live test here and live test webinar. So what are these? Are these snippets?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So because I know they are snippets, they are pieces of text, so I need to open Notepad. I should have used my menu. Why did I?
That's funny.
Yeah. So here, I type something and I want to add something that Joe added to the menu. So a piece of text that is reused frequently. So it's here. Which one should I use, Joe?
Either one's fine.
Okay, so this one here. So this is 3 paragraphs or 3 sentences that Joe added there. And let's say that's something that we use frequently. That's a way to share our frequently used pieces of text called text snippets. Of course, we can add it with the menu as I just did, but it can be also convenient to have a shortcut to paste it more easily. So if I return to my settings and I return to the shared folder and I'll use this one here, I can go in the menu options. In the menu options, you decide in what submenu and at what position it will appear, but you can also select a shortcut. So I'll say Shift Control S for snippet, for example. Okay. Oh, it's already used for the settings, of course. There are some default items. So Shift Control Z. And you won't see it, but believe me, I'm pressing Shift Control Z. Oh, I have to be in the menu, in the text file. And now let me Shift Control Z and you'll see the text has been pasted again here in my file. The other way to use text snippets, in addition to the menu and the keyboard shortcut, is to use hot strings. Something that is very powerful. You have to think about that. It's not something that is very well known and used by users, but it's really a great way to insert pieces of text, is that inside my options here, instead of the hotkey that I just removed, I will use a hot string. And let's say that I will call it demo. And I will put a hashtag, a hash character, just to make this sentence very unique. This group of text, group of characters, very, very unique. And I'm saving it. And now in my, whoops, was in the wrong window here. Okay. And now if I want to add it, what I can do is just type the trigger. And when I press enter or space, the trigger will be automatically expanded, if you wish, or replaced with the content of the text snippet. So hot strings is a third way to use snippets. It can be used also to launch any type of favorite. The best use for these hot strings is to paste text. But if you wish, it could be that when you type, I don't have it actually, but yeah, I could type Joe here and it would show the photo of Joe, for example. So it is to your imagination to find usage for that. But the main use is to really to put some text.
And John, if I can chime in here, because your example there, when you went to use, I forget, what was it, Control Shift S?
Control Shift Z, yes.
Yeah. So that was already a shortcut, right? And that's where hot strings can come in very helpful, because you only have a certain amount of shortcuts you can make given the key combinations. And hot strings also,
which is not easy.
That's exactly the other thing I was going to say was what I do is I use a couple letters that will remind me, of what it stands for. And so I have hundreds of hot strings that I can pull up
Yeah.
without even thinking, really.
Yeah, yeah. And very last thing before we exchange with you is when you use the command line, the command prompt, or when you use PowerShell, yes, the most recent version of this command line tool. Here, normally we have to do cd cd backslash. I don't know where's the backslash on this keyboard. Anyway, so and you have to type long text, but if you have your frequently used folders inside your menu, you can now and I'll use this one here. So what it does, it will automatically type at the command prompt the command required to change the folder. This one is a short one, but let's go to this one here. Yeah, so it take me directly to this folder. And same works for PowerShell.
And John, you probably mentioned this when I was running back and forth, but the fact that you can have this on a thumb drive and just jump to anybody's computer, right, and have it accessible is really helpful if you're a system admin type person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So same thing is available here. And the command is different than the command line, but Quick Access Popup knows it is PowerShell, so it will put the right way to display the command. So that's it. I would just have a few slides for the conclusion, and we'll be able to talk about to receive your questions. So about installing the application is very easy. You go to the Quick Access Popup website. On the home page, there are two sections. One to download the easy setup installation program, which is an executable file where you click next, and it's done. Or if you prefer, and what you mentioned, Joe, is that when you want to, if, for example, you have to work on different computers and you want to have your content on a USB drive, for example, you can have the installation of this tool in a portable mode where it will work from your key without making any changes on the host computer where you would work. So support people, for example, can bring their content on their USB key, have all their menu with their access to standard system menus that are system folders in Windows that are the same on most computers, and all this being available without impacting the system where you run. One note about when you install the application, there's a little possibility that you receive an alert about malware. So some antivirus software may consider Quick Access Popup as a suspect application, but there's a website where you have a list of about 65 different antivirus program, and you can see there that maybe 64 or 63 of them will declare Quick Access Popup as being clean, and sometimes there are false positive, as we call, that will be flagged as potentially malware, but you can trust me, it's not a malware. I'm there for 4 years now with this software. I bought a certificate to install to make sure that the application that I distribute cannot be modified by someone else pretending it is me. So the file you download from my site is a certified file. So I make everything I can to avoid these false alerts, but sometimes they can happen. So I prefer to tell you before you see it. So I invite you, we have time to talk, but I invite you when you have a chance to spread the good news about this tool with your friends and your colleagues. I can help companies or teams to install or to deploy or to make a training or presentation of this tool to groups of users. So there's a web page on my site where I describe these consulting services. And I invite you to register to our new monthly newsletter We are now at the second edition, but every month I'm sending a newsletter with a few tips and tricks and news about the evolution of the application, because new features are added every month or few months. So it's an invitation to stay updated about the application by registering to this mailing list. So thank you for your attention. And Joe, do we have comments or questions?
We do have a couple questions. The first one was a question about can we use this to launch Windows desktop apps, like from the Windows Store?
Good question. It's these Windows apps, also called universal apps or Metro apps at the time of Windows 8, are very special kind of application, and they do not run with the same executable type of file that we have for all other applications. They run inside a framework that Windows 8 and 10 introduced. And I'm actually working on supporting them. So applications like the calculator or some applications are also available with exe file that you can add to your menu. But there are lots of application like this that you have for free inside Windows, or that you can add using to Windows Store. And I'm working on this. It's currently available in a beta version that I'm running with a private group of beta users. But this should become available, I think, before the end of summer, to make these Windows app supported inside Quick Access Popup.
Cool. And then we had another question about can it also work with non-static folders, which I know that's true, but the examples he gave made me wonder if I need to read a little in here, because it says the cuser/rick/my documents, or if you're using the portable version, cuser/John/my documents. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're using the portable version and you say go to my documents, it'll go to the my documents of whatever user's logged in. Is that right?
Yeah, because the link or the path to the My Document folder is not a real path with C/user. It depends on it's not the same for every system folder, but a lot of system folders in Windows have GUID, so an ID of alphanumeric character, 64 characters, something like that. That is the same on any computer. So accessing this using this code make the access to these folders the same for all computers. And there's also system variables that you can use. For example, if you type, let me show it to you here, if I remember well, I'm not sure I have it correctly now, but if I'm go here in application and I want to open the command line, so there's a path that is a variable that holds, is it key CMD? I don't know if someone can help me to remember what's the command for this.
I think that's it.
CMD?
I believe so.
Percentage? Not sure, but let's try it. Save and reload. No, it's not exactly that. So it doesn't work. So Quick Access Popup tells you it's not working. Do you want to edit? Yes. So anyway, there's a lot of variables that can be used inside your path or your command line to your path to your application or your document.
How about percent user profile?
Another example, yes, we can use this one.
Yeah.
This will take us to the user folder. So this one is already available inside the My Special folders, but it's an example of a system variable that we can use to open, in this case, the John folder, because that's the user on this PC. So there are different ways. Of course, there's also things that are specific to each PC that you could not put in your menu with the same for all these different systems.
Hey, Jean.
Yeah.
Dale had a question, and I think I can best explain it. You know how in the start menu is smart enough that when you click on it, and if your list is too long, it will break across multiple rows to help show all the things. Does QAP do something like that, or is there a way to configure it?
Okay, if you have a very long menu, so I'll take the example here in the pictures. It's longer than the space that we have here. So there's an arrow here that allows to continue, which is not very convenient, but that's the standard way that Windows is building it. Quick Access Pop-up does not have exact control on this, but there are a few things that you can do. First, in the options, in the menu options, you can change the size of your icon. So it will make your menu smaller. You may prefer it or not, but now my menu is very, very small icons, which make it possible to show more items in the same page, in the same screen. The other possibility, and I'll return to the normal icon size, is to insert column break. So instead of having all this in one list, I can say that this menu, for example, what I often do is my personal own menu is instead of having a separator here, I remove it and I put a column break. You see this vertical line here? And if I reload my menu now, it will be displayed in 2 columns, which is already better to have this.
That's awesome.
But there's something that's less convenient. And when you're too far on the right side, if there's not enough room to display the submenu on the right side, Windows will display it on the left side, which is not very convenient, but that's the way.
That's the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, for live folders, and that maybe it was the origin of these questions, if I'm returning to the My Music live folder here, in the live folder option, I can say how many items I want to put in each column. So if I say that I think I'm having room, for example, for, I'll play safe for 10 items in each columns. So when there are more than 10 items in my menu, see that one. So instead of having all this in one list only, it's now split in 3 columns of 10 items. Of course, if you have hundreds of items, it's just not a good idea to make it a live folder, unfortunately. It's not done for these type of
But to your point,
you could select and say, I want to insert just the Excel files and select just the Excel files. There's a lot of other files, but it's not made to replace completely the Explorer. It works in complementary with your Windows Explorer to give access to the full content of your folders. But this is a good way already to have more content visible inside your menu.
Great.
Yeah, that's what Dale was mentioning. I didn't have time to look at all the questions, so if you have other questions.
I actually didn't realize that that column break was a thing. So I'm really glad you demonstrated that. You know, like I said, I keep learning more stuff. Can you talk about, can you bulk add hot
strings?
Good question, especially for me.
Yeah, if you are techie enough to play in the ini file, I'll show you the file that contains all the settings. So instead of using the user interface here, I will right click on the QAP icon and open the Quick Access Pop-up ini file. So it will open here in Notepad. And there's a section where you will see all your favorites. Okay, so it starts at favorite 1, which is the first one in my menu. Here, user, then the group, then the items in the group, then the next item in the main menu. So it's a reflection of your content, but in a very structured way with pipe characters separating each value that will describe each of your favorites. So if you are familiar enough with that, you can build something that will take all your hot strings and put them in the right format, and you could add it at the end of the menu here, just making sure that the last item is a correct Z item, which is Z is for end of submenu, so or end of menu. So it's not for every type of users, but some user could do some bulk work by adding that directly in the ini file. But when you do it at your own risk, because there's no validation that the content that has been added to directly inside this file is completely valid. So it could cause some errors if it's not well formatted. So it's not for all users. It's a suggestion I can take note of to have a way to add favorites in a more for a group of favorites in one operation.
Did you actually, Jean, did you show also that your button there that shows you what hot strings and hotkeys exist? Or sorry, hotkeys, yeah. That shortcut in the bottom right there, just that would
There's
show.
one that I think Rick already seen it, and I'll repeat it for him, but for other users, it will be something new. So if there's a, you know, there's a menu that I didn't show that is called the alternative menu. So I'll just close Windows here. There are so many. So instead of,
you should have used your close all thing.
Close all. I have a feature for that, but I cannot show everything in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm opening here the regular menu. Okay, and that is now in 2 columns. But if I press Shift, middle click, it opens an alternative menu, and here you have features that are available to do something with an item of your menu. So for example, if I want to run an application as administrator, I click this, it will open my regular menu, and then I can select that I want to run Notepad as administrator. And here it will ask me for the password, the administrator password. So that's an example of what can be done using the alternative menu. So it's a kind of pre-menu with different commands. And one of these that I use frequently is edit a favorite. So if I want to edit my music favorite, or I take another example, my user favorite here, so it will automatically open the edit favorite dialog box with this item. But since I'm using this frequently, instead of having to do shift click, edit favorite, and select the favorite, there's a very efficient shortcut for this one, is that when you are in the menu, instead of just clicking the item, which will open this folder, you press shift click, and then you click the item, and this is a shortcut to the edit dialog box. So these, there are shortcuts like that for different options, but it's very, so that's one that is quite hidden. You have to discover it, but the way to discover it is go to the options in the alternative hotkeys here. So where you could create different hotkeys for each of these options that are found in the alternative menu. And there's also this, no, it's not there. No, I'm confused. No, you have to go to the website and look at in the knowledge base on the website to discover this trick. So I cannot, you have things that you will discover over time like this one. And I really, it gives me the opportunity to show you this knowledge base built in the way frequently asked question database is done. So here in knowledge base, you have, I'll show you the main page. So there are, I don't know how many, but close to 100 pages with different items here. So if I search here for alternative, so what are the alternative features? Or can I launch alternative menu features directly from the regular pop-up menu? That's where you would find this trick that I told you. So if you shift click, it will open in a new window. So if I open, let's say I'm already in a folder and I want to open something not in this Explorer, but in a new Explorer window. So I can shift click and say open in new, no, excuse me. I can open the menu and now shift click user, and it will open the user folder in a new window. So that's the first shortcut, to use shift. If you use control, it will copy the path to this folder, to this favorite inside your clipboard. So for example, I want to copy the path, use this one here, the path to this folder. So I do control click and it is already copied to my clipboard, and I could go to Notepad to check the content of my clipboard. If I paste it, it's now the path to this file. So these are tricks that you will discover over time. There's a lot more that I cannot show. There's a lot of stuff inside the My QAP Essentials. Let me open this here. So you can switch to any open application window or folder in your system in one click. You can repeat the last action that has been done using your menu. You can, this one is very handy. You can reopen the current folder in the dialog box. So for example, you are working, I'll go to John's document in the Zoom, which is empty. There's not enough stuff there. Okay, the download folder, I'm here, okay? And there is an Excel file here that I may need, but now I am in Excel and I want to open, and of course, if I'm here, I just have to double click, okay? But if I'm not actually there, but I know that this file is open, I can now go here into my application to open. And now if I need to go to the folder that I was just using in in Windows Explorer, I can use this special feature here. And of course, there's a shortcut that I'm using every day, Shift Control C, but it will reopen here in my dialog box, in my application, in my open dialog box, the folder I was in just a minute ago. And if I'm switching to this here and I press Shift Control C, it takes me directly to this folder. So this is one of the very often used features for me. And if I'm just complete the list here, you have a list of the recent folders. So that's Windows recent folder or recent files. So it will open a standalone menu with all the content, all the files that were remembered by Windows as you were using them. Here we have 10 by default, but you can change the number of files in this menu if you wish. And finally, there's the clipboard feature that will show what are the files or links, URLs that are in your clipboard. So you could have a list. I'll show you with this here.
John, just so you know, we're hitting the 11:30 or 12:30 for you, but
yeah, okay. So I'm just stopping with this one. So I'm copying it to my clipboard. I press Control C to copy it, and now in my clipboard submenu, I have the 3 items that I just copied. So it's another way to access your content. So there's a lot to discover. I could continue for one more hour, but I'll have to stop there.
I love Andre's question. Basically, it's the same thing that I have. Is like, once you get used to this, how in the world do you go to a computer that doesn't have it?
Yeah. So you need an internet access, and you need to download Quick Access Popup and running it on this PC. If you don't want to install it on the PC, you can run it in portable mode. But of course, you get quite addict to this tool, and when
I'm almost helpless when I go to someone else's computer.
Yeah, and you press the middle mouse button, and it does nothing.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, hey, at least for now, let's we'll go ahead and stop the recording. If you guys have more questions, stay on. We'll answer them. But we want to also be respectful of everyone's time. If you don't.
Thank you, everybody, for your time and your attention, and thank you, Joe, again for hosting.
Oh, thank you, man. This is awesome. And again, before we actually stop the main recording, so as Jean mentioned, I mean, look at his site and all that support he has, all the FAQ stuff. Besides the certification he pays for, right, for to making sure that it's not hacked, but there's no cost to this. So I personally would recommend donating what you think is what it's worth to you, right? But anyway, thank you again, John. Awesome stuff. We're gonna stop the main recording here, and then we can still field other questions if people have them.
Thank you.